I'm coming day and night. I mean, it's terrific, right? So, I'm in heaven.
Right now you're listening to the tentative theme song for the Aryan Brotherhood. Despite what its name might have you believe, this song isn't an anthem for any white supremacist group. Rather, it's a tongue-in-cheek look at the fringes of society from the emerging group LJ Harvey and the Death's Head Band. The new album, Fear and Trembling in Las Vegas, takes a look at serial killers, terrorists, and internet rap groups, melting elements of folk, psychedelia, and a defiant post-internet perspective to become a wholly unique collection of songs. But LJ Harvey and the Death's Head Band isn't a band at all. It's the work of one person. Alongside Tantric Youth's Final Flesh, Capin the Great, and Lee Harvey, it's one of many passion projects from New York native Linda Lee. I got the chance to sit down with Linda to talk songwriting, inspiration, and what it's like to live in the apocalypse. Let me put you on.
I have no keys for this.
Thanks for taking the time to talk.
Yeah, of course. I've never been asked to be interviewed before, so it means a lot.
Let me start off by asking, so I see your music under a lot of different names on Bandcamp. There's LJ Harvey, there's Lee Harvey, there's Final Flesh. What's the story behind these names?
I don't know, I've always, I've never been able to settle on a thing, I guess, and I remember when I was younger, I liked, there's some fucking weird art group that they would change their name for every release, but it would be the same motif, and I just feel like the name of the artist is such an unused place for artistic expression. And I think it's funny to change it all the time. Maybe that makes it harder to find it in my shit, but yeah, I guess that's just kind of how I look at it. It's part of the sculpting the album as a piece for me.
So you take whatever name you've got and into consideration with their respective album, so to speak?
Yeah, definitely. I remember I was one under the Spectral Skeletal under Capin the Great. It was its own whatever character in my head. I think it was the Dungeon Explorer one, was Tantric Youth's Final Flesh. So I guess, sometimes it's probably just nonsensical, whatever the fuck I choose, but yeah, it's just fun for me.
Do you write in a different style according to any given name, or is it just kind of like you said, play it by ear, just messing around?
For maybe some the side electronic stuff I do, I think it's a little bit like that. The Capin the Great thing was this is a wizard album, I'm a wizard, that's the mindset for the songs. And then the Dungeon Explorer Ultra was more I wanted to be more weird and transcendental and spiritual, and that was that. But for the main guitar music stuff, I think it's less like that. The next thing I want to put out is I'm probably going to put the Reverend Lee Harvey or something, and mostly just because it's more upbeat and spiritual. So that one sort of has that inclination.
That's great. I see a lot of different ideas thrown around. Who or what would you cite as your biggest inspirations or influences?
Jeff Mangum for sure is one of the biggest people for me, just growing up listening to that. Definitely Ween. I always loved how Ween is very home recordings and just tackles a bunch of genres and feels a lot just about love for music in general.
First you take a step, then you point your toe. Hope I know it like I did a week ago. Am I standing straight? I can hardly wait.
John Fahey is like probably one of my biggest heroes for just a guitarist in general. And I don't know, besides that, like, you know, I love outsider music and just like Wesley Willis type shit like that. So I always try to go at it with a sort of schizophrenic mindset, or just going anywhere, I guess.
Outside of music, do you see any other strong influences, be it artists or...
Looking at literature, definitely. You know, I have a few songs about like the characters from James Joyce's Ulysses. That's one of my favorite books of all time. I really love Pynchon, and yeah, mainly like that, and philosophy too. I really love German idealism and Hegel. Hegel is, you know, he's basically my dad. So yeah.
Yeah, on the topic of German idealism, there's a clear theme of, at least in Fear and Trembling in Las Vegas, of Aryanism, of far-right ideologies, so to speak. I'm just wondering what compels you to address these circles with these ideas.
That's a good question. But the Aryan Brotherhood song, that was actually one I wrote in like 2018, and it's on a very old album like that. Like I made a 6-hour fucking album of songs that was pretty shitty. It's still on my YouTube, I think. At the time, I was just lurking and looking at a lot of like far right cult groups on Twitter and stuff like that. I don't know if you've ever heard of Kaliak, stuff like that. And I just thought it was all very interesting. And I think one of my most popular songs on SoundCloud is the one that Adam Lawson won. So for me, I guess it's just like, look, we're living in the end times, an apocalypse. And I think having sort of like upbeat, peppy songs about those topics is sort of just like a tongue-in-cheek acknowledgement of just living in hell and the apocalypse. I like neo-folk and Death in June a lot too. I listened to that a lot as a teenager. So yeah, I don't know. Sorry.
Yeah, I wasn't trying to spring at you there. I'm just genuinely curious because I don't see that tackled too often. I do find it interesting for sure. Do you like fear that like some of those like lyrics might be co-opted by, you know, certain groups?
I think honestly, like the fact that I'm just a transvestite like doesn't, like I still get people who like the Adam Lawson song still call me a tranny on SoundCloud and shit, and like I guess I don't fear about it that much, but I don't know, I'm sort of just like an eschatologist, and it's hard to care about much, if that makes sense.
What does that word mean?
Like eschatology is like the theory of like the apocalypse and the end of the world. I'm just waiting for the end of the world.
Oh man, I guess I can kind of see what you're saying.
Yeah, definitely. Just like a lot of it is just like celebrating being, just the being that we're in right now. Maybe that's evil. I don't even know.
No, not at all. It's art. Can you tell me a little bit about how your gender identity plays a role into your music?
I guess the biggest thing for me is like, I think a lot of other trans women artists I see will, you know, like do a very poppy like voice and try to do a feminine voice and stuff like that. And, you know, I've been singing since I was a kid, and I like utilizing all the range. So I don't try to hide that. And I like to play like characters with my songs. So I like to play creepy male characters a lot, and that's fun and a good expression of that. For me, I guess, you know, I feel like a lot of the way I deal with gender is just sort of like, you know, I just like feel like everything. I feel like everything in general is me or something. It's probably a stupid way to say that, but yeah.
No, not at all. That was a great answer. I don't know if inspiring is the right word, but it's definitely we'll use that word.
I appreciate it.
Now pivoting a little bit, could you describe, like, from start to end, kind of your music production process? Like, do you start with the lyrics, or do you have, like, melodies in your head, or do you just pick up a guitar and start riffing, or how does it work for you?
Yeah, it's definitely like either just picking up a guitar and riffing. You know, I try to play every day to not become shitty at it. And I don't know much about. I'm not a big music theory person, so it's really just a lot of shapes in my head and just throwing my head against the wall at it over and over again until it works. But you know, if I get a song I've been working on guitar and generally a motif, I'll just like record the guitar and double track it, and then basically write all the lyrics and melodies from there if I haven't already had an idea of it. Sometimes I'll just like have an idea of a melody in my head, and I'll be like fucking driving, singing to myself, and have a voice memo app recording of me singing it out for later.
I feel that. I know the driving voice memo is a
yeah, definitely
valuable tool.
And then, you know, I just like layering shit, and it's not like I write out any notation for what the harmonies will be, or like I even like can understand it musically, but I just like keep singing stuff until it sounds right. Or I have pretty good pitch, so I usually, you know, just try to cake on as much shit as possible. I like the maximalism.
For sure. I definitely can see that. Now, have you ever played any of your music in a live setting?
Only once, really. I've only had one show in Jersey once, and it seemed to go okay. People liked it and came to me after and said they liked it. But yeah, I'm a pretty isolated person, so I don't get a lot of chances.
So, would you say it's more of like you not wanting to do it, or you just not having the opportunities to play live?
Definitely the latter. I'd fucking love to play live, but I just never meet the people who would help me with that, I guess. I'm not very popular.
Where are you based out of?
I'm in Westchester. I'm like outside of the city, New York.
There's definitely a, I don't want to say market, because that sounds like, you know, commodifying, but, you know, there's an audience out there.
Oh, I appreciate it. It can be a market. It could be capitalist. I don't care. But yeah, I really appreciate it. I hope the more it seems like it's blowing up more recently, and I get a lot more fan mail. So maybe sometime soon. Who knows?
So on your Spotify, you say if you'd like your music to be known for, with any one word, it would be transformation. Could you expound on that a little bit?
Does it say that? Did I put that in the bio or something? Let me read this. Let me read my own Spotify bio for a second. Then I can answer this. Oh, it would be development.
Development.
Yeah, I want to be development. Well, that's a Hegel thing. In the science of logic, there's 3 sections. There's the doctrine of being, the doctrine of essence, and the doctrine of the concept. And he describes like the movements in each of them to be, in the doctrine of being, it's passing over, so like life and death. The doctrine of essence, it's shining. Doctrine of essence, it's like shining into each other. And then in the doctrine of the concept, which is like the culmination of it, it's just development. So I guess for me, that's like I guess it's like a message to myself about maturity, that I want to be someone who develops. I don't want to be a static person. And yeah, I just love Hegel and the concept. The next album's title, Free Love and Boundless Blessedness, is actually taken from a quote from Hegel's Science of Logic. So yeah.
That's cool. That's really cool. Where can people find you?
Just, Final Flesh on Instagram, Like my Twitter handle is like at moral fagging right now. It's, apologies for being uncouth or whatever. But yeah, those are basically the places. And yeah, I appreciate this so much. Thanks. You have a good one. God bless.